system just speaks so much of intelligent design, of God as creator, and so much against random chance. Hydrogen evolving into ultimately a solar system which spun off clouds of gas which condensed into planets. Because you just have to sit down and say, well, if it's spun off the gas, then all the gas is going in the same direction. All the gas has the same inertia. All the gas is not going to condense into planets, some of which are going the other way. It's simply not possible, because if you sit down and think, if I'm going to get one of those spinning tops, I supply the inertia, the movement from outside. I make it spin, and from then on it can only slow down. It never sort of gets to a point and says, hey, I'm going to go the other way. It will simply run out of energy eventually. And when you look at the solar system, if you've got Uranus going the other way, it's not because of any big bang. It's because it was given a kick right at the start, and now its only choice is to continue until it will run out.
John, the idea of a designer, creator, all-knowing being, and you're not him, obviously. I'm not him. But what would be the purpose of billions and billions of stars? What is the purpose of those billions of universes and stars out there?
I remember the astronomy observatory I told you about in England, where carved into the door was "The heavens declare the glory of God." I love going into the outback of Australia, and you can look up and, outside of the city lights, so we don't have anywhere near as many cities in Australia as you have over here. So it's much easier to see. You just look up and you basically say, wow. And then you invent a microscope and you say, well, double wow. And then you invent one of these big radar telescopes and you say, triple wow. This is just unbelievable. This is incredible. It's designed to impress you. And the Bible itself says God, actually invented the heavens for signs down here, so that you would know he exists, B, you'd know how big he was, and C, there's going to come a day, Jesus said, when you better be watching for those stars that begin to fall, because that's a warning about the end times.
And let me ask you this question, and this is going back just a little bit, but I skipped over it. And it just reminded me, because you said lights, and then of course, being the host of this show, I immediately saw the Phoenix lights that happened several years ago, this craft-like thing flying over Arizona there, Nevada. But if an alien came down and said, hello, everybody, would that, in your mind, would you say, oh, there's another creature that God made? Would that?
Well, obviously it's a hypothetical question since it's never happened yet.
Yet? Oh, so we haven't yet from you.
And all of that. But you will find that, at the end of that movie Expel, which I've encouraged people to go to once before on this program, you will find Professor Richard Dawkins, atheist, right?
All right.
Is asked, what evidence of intelligent design would you accept? And he basically agrees that he could accept evidence of intelligent design, but only if basically aliens came from somewhere else and made life on this planet.
Right.
But of course he's really just shifted the question to, well, how did the aliens get there, which he's asked. And he said, well, they must have evolved naturally. But the bottom line is, if you needed aliens to create life on this planet, then aliens themselves can't happen by accident. So if you're in the Vatican at the moment, who's getting into the alien thing, they're trying to say, well, life would be where God made it, and if he's made aliens, they'll be there. There's nothing wrong with that logic, just there's no evidence for it. And that's one of these, it's like Agatha Christie, all her stories are 100% logical, none of them are true. So logic and truth are two different things. And you've got to deal with the real world, and in the real world, we're the only intelligent life in the whole solar system we've come across. So the rest of it is great fiction stories.
Wait a minute. I got to say this one more time. Hello, everybody. That's a classic opening for me. John, what is, or not what is, but why, and we were talking about this on the program a few weeks ago, why does the Vatican have a giant telescope? Are they looking for something? Do they know something that you Protestants don't know?
Do you remember the picture on the front of the Christmas cards about the three wise men from the Middle East who saw a star?
Right.
The interesting word that's used is they were astrologers. and astrologers were studying the stars looking for signs.
Okay.
Most astronomers today are no longer looking for signs. They just think it all happened by itself.
Right.
But these astrologers were looking for a sign that a king would be born, and they ended up in Israel because that's what the star signs said.
Yeah.
So, yes, you will find from then up until now, most people involved in what you or I call astronomy, except for the last 100 years, have been using any mechanism, any telescopes, any study of the stars to actually read a meaning up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got no problem with that because God said he made the stars for signs.
Mm-hmm.
But the star that announced the birth of the Messiah, that same Messiah
so are you saying they're still looking? Why do they got? What are they looking for, John?
Basically, you will find that the Vatican has always employed people in astrology or astronomy.
Oh, really?
Always.
Oh, okay.
They've got a whole group of the Jesuits who are simply tied up in studying science.
Yeah.
And you might
if
say,
their kids, if their boys are probably tied up. Hey, what I'm saying is, what? Wait, what did I just say that? No,
I think you did. It wasn't me.
Rewind that. I didn't say that. Oh, now I lost my train. No. Okay, it seems that they're looking for something.
Yeah.
And since the Messiah had already come, they can't be looking for that. So,
no,
John, aren't they looking for
stars beginning to fall? And then in the book of Revelation says, and a star wormwood will fall on the earth, and a third of life will die. A third of the sea will die.
Right.
Now, whether they're looking for advance notice, I don't know. But the Vatican's if the Vatican's a master of anything, it's a master of politics.
I don't like them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing behind them walls, but it ain't good.
Yeah.
They got machine guns over there.
They've always been good at.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like they know something maybe the rest of us don't, and maybe
they would like us to think that anyway. But that's why the Reformation occurred.
Yeah. Well, we euphemistically call that the Pope scope. So
I like that one too.
So whatever they're looking for, Okay. So have you ever got involved with a conversation of a committed evolutionist and either got them to drop their jaw or to say, you got me on that one, or have you ever convinced or persuaded an evolutionist that maybe they're barking up the wrong tree, or if they haven't evolved?
Well, the answer is, I'm grateful God has given me a little part in that. So if you go to creationresearch.net, click on David Waldron, who had his master's degree in geophysics from one of the leading universities in the world, and let him tell you the answer to that himself. So now he's actually involved in a Christian ministry full-time, and you can read his own words about that. So yes, it's been, having been an evolutionist myself, having been raised outside of the Christian church, having realized that we were not told the truth. The textbook stories about embryos and black and white moths are simply fallacious. It's not just that they're an alternative. They are simply deliberate misinformation. And that's what really irritates me. And most people today are basing their futures on not just believing a theory, but believing on the basis of being deliberately misinformed by those who do know better.
John, as you study the evolutionary way or hear their arguments, what is their argument or their best argument as to, say, we have a primordial goo full of rocks, sludge, whatever. What is, do they say a lightning struck it and assembled the DNA or the proteins? What are they saying that initiated it?
Well, you'll find that varies from year to year. Currently, you still have the Miller's amino acid experiment in the textbooks. So if you went to all the government high schools in America, the first chapter on evolution would be about how methane and methane and ammonia